new to what was happening 3 months ago.
Shall I draw that graphic, please?
Yeah, could you?
The issue I think we have here is half our membership don't belong to a club, and a lot of our coaches aren't associated with a club. So why would you do a club?
Sure.
A course that's called Club Coach?
Yep.
Why don't I specialise in sprints and hurdles, the area that I'm
Interested in. That's a really good point. We did discuss that on Tuesday. We also thought about changing the name Club Coach and really having something more like level 2 basic and then moving to level 2 advanced. So, but the theory is that, and this was what I felt quite passionately about, that if I want to be a jumps coach, I need to know how to get my jumpers from the start of their run up to their takeoff point. And if I go from level 1, does everyone understand what level 1 looks like, John? They know it's fundamental skills. Everyone comfortable with what level 1 looks like? Yeah, cool. So at level 1, we're looking at fundamental skills that underpin track and field events rather than event-specific skills. So if I come from there, I feel quite passionate that I shouldn't be moving from there to an event-specific, an event group-specific, because the one thing I think all coaches need to know is we need to know about speed. So, and I think that if you go straight from level 1 to say level 2 middle and long, you might have missed that component. So I want it to be more incremental. Come from level 1, look at your fundamental skills. Go to level 2, put club coach in inverted commas, call it level 2 basic, and get a little bit of knowledge about everything, like we would encourage our athletes to do. Don't specialise yet. Have a broad vision, build yourself a broad base. Then after that, you can move to a level 2 event specific. I think Tim's going to do
I'll be very brief. You guys all have seen the A4 sheet landscape format that's got the pathway, the 3 different streams of coach education on it, big orange background. Does it make people a bit confused? Okay, so at the moment currently we've got the ITC, which is not accredited within the framework currently, but there's certainly an opportunity for people that have completed the ITC to then seek recognition of either current competence and or prior learning into a level 2 junior coach qualification. So at the moment, and Jill, stop me if I go wrong as I'm going along here. So there is a level 2 junior coach. We've got a level 2 club coach, a level 2 event group coach. Okay, so after we've done level 1 or ITC, we come in here to level 2 junior, and we select either to go junior pathway, which has a designation around athletes in that sort of little A's age bracket, or into our club coach, broad spectrum learning across a whole range of event groups, or event group coach specialising into one of 6 or 7 different event group areas. And then from there, we're then progressing still within this participation pathway into then level 3. At the moment, it's only in advanced event group coach. There is talk about a level 3 club coach, but we've seen some of the draft content of that and we're sort of unsure. Then from there, we then move down here into level 4 and 5 within the performance pathway. And that's a very quick snapshot of where we kind of come to. This is the system that Jill and I inherited in coaching. What we're suggesting as an alternative to that, and this is something that's been taken to the Australian Track and Field Coaches Association. We spent a couple of days very early on after we'd started with Glenys Nunn, who came down to Melbourne and spent some time with us, and again with the Coaching Advisory Commission earlier this week, is that you would come into a single entry point here at level 1. Okay, so in addition at the moment to having the Athletics Australia level 1 course, the ITC, there's also then the active after schools program run by the AWA, it's run by the ASC, Sports Commission's active after schools program, which has its own community coach training program down here. So it's a lot of noise at level 1 in our landscape. I can understand the confusion for coaches and not understanding the concept of a single linear pathway. The progression is the tricky bit, absolutely. So the idea is that for those of us that are old enough to remember working through the Australian Track and Field Coaches Association framework from 1 to 5, is that we would have a single entry point here, ideally, for all coaches in our sport, so that you are an athletics coach. Not a little athletics coach or a seniors or a masters, you're an athletics coach. Okay? This is being driven at the moment, I'll let Jill talk a bit more about it, by the ASC. They're designing a new entry point for all sports. They want to be a part of what's called the community coach entry point to sport, a common entry point for a whole range of sports here. So our athletics coaches, our parents and centres, our athletes who might want to be coaching as well, someone who maybe was an athlete wants to come and be a coach, school teachers, the whole lot, level 1 in here. Then it's very simple from there. There's just level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. The idea is that we do away with the 3 concurrent or parallel pathways. Okay, so that all you're doing is you're just moving this way as a coach. So in here, the suggestion that Jill's talking about before that was canvassed at CAC is the idea that you come from level 1 in, and your first point of call at level 2, your first progression is that 2-day broad spectrum coaching course, all event groups, okay, touching on them all. Then you'd come down and specialise into sprints, hurdles, relays, jumps, throws, middle distance, walks, recreational running. All of those things sit in here. And then you progress this way. Okay? Does that make life a little simpler to understand if we go back to just a single linear pathway?
Tim, and then level 3, 4 and 5 is all specialised, is it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at the moment, the issue at the moment is that we've got, certainly from our understanding, this is the vast majority of coaches. This is where most coaches traditionally have always sat, was in level 1 and 2. I was one of those coaches with the ATFC. I sat here in level 2 event group. That was me. Okay. The idea of going on to level 3, 4 and 5, which was more performance oriented, a lot of additional time and energy and money spent on those things, that's a smaller percentage of coaches. So we're going to make sure that this is reflective not only of, going back to Jean's point that Jill spoke about, that as an athlete develops from entry point into high school age competition, maybe it's states, maybe you've got nationals, when they start to take more seriously their elite competition, we want a coach to progress and develop with them. So this level of training and the ones that come after it are much more specific in the individual event groups, and then they've broken down again, so not just throws, but rotational throws, long throws, so on.
So let's take someone like me who's been in it a little while, and I went to 5, and then I came back and had to do heptathlon decathlon, so I went back to 2. Is that what, like, if someone does one sort of event and they really want to specialise in something else, do they do come back?
So what I'm really keen on is I want a module system. So if you come to level 1, there's 4 modules. And then the module system expands, so level 2 would have modules as well and probably more. So if you're coming backwards, that you can look at the modules, say you want to come back to level 3, you can look at those modules and apply for RCC or RPL. You could say, well look, module 1, and it covers this. So I've already done that. I can apply for RCC for that, and you might say I can apply for RCC for module 1, 3 and 5. Cool, then you just need to come back perhaps at 2 and 7. They're not but just so that everything is moduled, so that if you are moving backwards and forwards, and people do that you can say, yes, no, thank you, I've covered that. I'll apply for RCC for that. So then you'll be able to move. But we just want to simplify it, and again, want this to reflect that if you started here with a 6-year-old, for argument's sake, that your experience would reflect their experience so that you could move with your athlete. So it's age appropriate, and it's moving through.